Captain Tae-young stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable and stared at the screen. The alien ship floated in the darkness of space, dead and broken. Its hull was torn open in several places. Burn marks covered the metal surface. No lights, no power, no life. How long has it been here? Tae-young asked. Lieutenant Bo-ra checked her instruments. 3 weeks, maybe 4. The damage is fresh enough. Whatever attacked it did not stay around. Tae-young nodded slowly. This was humanity's first real discovery in deep space. They had found ruins before, old probes, strange signals, but never a ship like this, never something so recent. The Indomitable was Earth's newest cruiser, sent to explore beyond the solar system. They had traveled for 6 months through the empty void. Now they had found something that made Tae-young's stomach tight with worry. "Prepare a boarding team," he said. "I want to know what happened here." 2 hours later, Tae-young floated through the alien corridors. His suit lights cut through the darkness. Behind him, 5 Marines followed with their weapons ready. Dr. Bo-ra was there too, her scanner sweeping everything. The alien ship was strange. The walls curved in odd ways. The doors were too tall. Everything felt wrong, like walking through a dream. But the damage told a clear story. Energy burns, explosive decompression, a violent death. "Captain, over here," Bo-ra called. She stood near what looked like a computer station. Tae-young moved closer. The screen was dark, but Bo-ra had connected a portable power unit. Symbols appeared on the display. Not human symbols. Alien writing that danced and shifted. "I can recover the data cores," Bo-ra said. Her voice was excited despite the grim surroundings. This could tell us everything. Who they were, where they came from, why they died. Tae-young was about to answer when the Indomitable's voice crackled in his helmet. "Captain, we have a problem. 3 ships just appeared on our sensors. They are closing fast. Get back to the ship, now," Tae-young ordered. They ran through the corridors. Bo-ra clutched the data cores to her chest. The team burst out of the airlock and into their shuttle. As they flew back to the Indomitable, Tae-young saw them. 3 sleek vessels, dark and menacing. They moved with purpose, surrounding the human cruiser. Tae-young reached the bridge, breathing hard. "Status report." Lieutenant Commander Hyejin looked up from her weapons console. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp. 3 hostile vessels. Unknown design. "They are broadcasting something, but we cannot understand it. Sir, I think they are demanding our surrender. Can we fight them?" Tae-young asked. "Unknown. But they found us quickly. They probably killed that alien ship too. We should assume they are dangerous." One of the alien ships fired. A bright beam of energy lanced across space and hit the Indomitable's shields. The ship shook. Alarms blared. "Shields holding at 80%, Hyejin reported. They are using energy weapons. Very powerful. Return fire," Tae-young ordered. The Indomitable's missiles streaked toward the nearest enemy ship. They hit with bright explosions. But when the light faded, the alien vessel was undamaged. A shimmering field surrounded it, absorbing the impact. "Shields," Hyejin said quietly. "Energy shields. Our missiles do nothing." Another beam hit the Indomitable. Then another. The shields dropped to 60%, 40%. The alien ships were toying with them, Tae-young realized. Testing their prey before the kill. "Try the lasers," he said, though he knew it was hopeless. The lasers hit the alien shields and scattered like light through water. Nothing. "No damage. No effect, sir," Hyejin said. Her voice had changed. There was something in it now. Something like hope. "We still have the railguns." Tae-young looked at her. The railguns, Earth's old technology. Primitive kinetic weapons that fired metal slugs at incredible speeds. They were backup weapons, really. Something to use against asteroids or debris. No one thought they would work in real combat. Not when the enemy had energy shields, but they had nothing else. "Do it," Tae-young said. Hyejin's fingers danced across her console. The Indomitable's railguns hummed with power. Then they fired. The metal slugs crossed the distance in seconds. No bright beams. No explosive missiles. Just solid matter moving at a significant fraction of light speed. They hit the alien ship's shields and passed straight through. The bridge went silent. Everyone stared at the screen. The alien ship was venting atmosphere. Its hull was torn open. Systems were failing. It was dying. "What just happened?" someone whispered. Hyejin found her voice first. "The shields." They did not stop the railgun rounds. It was like the shields were not even there. The other 2 alien ships were reacting now. Their movements had changed. No more confident circling. They were scrambling, uncertain. One fired desperately at the Indomitable. The other tried to flee. "Target the one that is running," Tae-young ordered. His mind was racing, but his voice was steady. "Do not let it escape. More railgun fire. More impossible impacts." The fleeing ship exploded in a ball of fire. The third vessel stopped attacking. It broadcast something on all frequencies. The tone was clear even without translation. A plea. "A surrender. Ceasefire," Tae-young said. "Prepare to board that ship. I want prisoners. I want answers." 3 hours later, Tae-young sat across from the alien. It looked insect-like, with too many limbs and compound eyes that reflected the light. A translator device hung between them, struggling to make sense of the alien's clicking speech. "You should not exist," the alien said. "Your weapons, they are impossible. Kinetic projectiles. We abandoned those thousands of years ago. They are useless against modern shields." "They seem to work fine," Tae-young said. The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Because we designed our shields to stop energy weapons, lasers, plasma. That is what everyone uses now. Physical matter? No one thought to defend against it. Your primitiveness saved you." Dr. Bora was listening nearby. "He is right," she said softly to Tae-young. "Energy shields work by deflecting or absorbing energy. But a solid projectile? It is just mass and velocity. The shields probably did not even recognize it as a threat." Tae-young turned back to the alien. "Who are you? Why did you attack us?" "Marauders," the alien said. "We raid, we take. That is what we do. But you will change everything. Once the galaxy knows about your weapons, nothing will be the same." Before Tae-young could respond, alarms sounded throughout the ship. He ran to the bridge. The displays showed dozens of new contacts. Ships were arriving from all directions. "Big ships, warships, sir," Heejin said. "We are receiving a transmission." "It is in English," a deep voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel. This is Commander Thexel of the Galactic Assembly Patrol. We detected the disturbance. Stand down and prepare to be boarded. We have many questions about your weapons." Many questions indeed. Tae-young looked at his crew. They were exhausted, scared, and confused. They had traveled to the stars looking for answers. Instead, they had found a galaxy full of aliens. A galaxy with advanced technology and ancient rules. A galaxy that was about to discover that humanity's greatest weakness might actually be its greatest strength. "Open a channel," Tae-young said. "Let us talk." Ambassador Daewon had been asleep in his cryopod when the alarms woke him. Now he stood on the bridge in his wrinkled uniform, trying to understand what was happening. Dozens of alien warships surrounded the Indomitable. Some were sleek and silver, others were dark and angular. All of them had weapons pointed at the human cruiser. "They want to talk," Captain Tae-young said. "You are our diplomat." "So talk," Daewon swallowed hard. He had trained for first contact. Years of preparation, countless scenarios, but none of them had prepared him for this. For being surrounded by an alien fleet while sitting next to the wreckage of ships his own people had destroyed. "Open the channel," he said. The screen flickered. An alien face appeared. It was insect-like, with compound eyes and mandibles that clicked when it spoke. But there was intelligence in those eyes. And curiosity. "I am Commander Thexel of the Hive Clusters," the alien said. The translation was perfect, which meant these aliens had been studying human languages. "You destroyed 3 marauder vessels. With kinetic weapons. This should be impossible." Daewon chose his words carefully. "The marauders attacked us. We defended ourselves. We did not know about the galaxy. About your people. We are explorers, not warriors." Thexel's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Explorers who carry weapons that pierce our shields like they are made of air. Tell me, human, do you know what you have done? Do you understand how the galaxy will react to this?" "I am beginning to," Daewon said. "Good," Thexel said. "Because you are coming with us. The High Council will want to meet the humans who have turned warfare upside down. Prepare your ship. We leave for Assembly Station Nexus immediately." The journey took 3 days. 3 days of traveling through hyperspace with an escort of 20 alien warships. 3 days for Daewon to study the data that Dr. Bora had recovered from the derelict ship. The galaxy was vast and old. 47 major civilizations, hundreds of minor ones. They had formed the Galactic Assembly 8,000 years ago, after their last great war. Since then, peace had been maintained through trade, diplomacy, and a unified military doctrine, and that doctrine was based entirely on energy weapons and energy shields. They abandoned kinetic weapons millennia ago Bora explained. She sat across from Daewon in the conference room, her eyes red from lack of sleep. Once energy shields became common, projectile weapons became useless. So everyone switched to lasers, plasma beams, particle cannons, weapons that could overload shields or slip through them. But our railguns work because the shields are not designed to stop them, Daewon said. Exactly. It is like showing up to a sword fight with a gun, except everyone forgot guns existed. Daewon rubbed his tired eyes. This is going to be complicated. Assembly Station Nexus was the size of a small moon. It hung in the void between star systems, a massive construct of metal and light. Thousands of ships moved around it like insects around a hive. As the Indomitable approached, Daewon felt very small, very alone, very human. Sir, Lieutenant Hyejin said. She was staring at her tactical display with wide eyes. I count weapons on that station that could destroy our entire solar system. Good thing we are here as friends, Tae-young muttered. They docked at a private bay. A delegation was waiting. Daewon recognized Commander Thexil, but there were others. A tall reptilian creature with scales that shimmered like oil, a being made of what looked like living crystal, a four-armed giant with fur and tusks. Ambassador Daewon, Thexil said. Welcome to Assembly Station Nexus. Let me introduce you. This is High Counselor Veltarn of the Viridian Collective. He leads the oldest member race of the Assembly. The reptilian creature looked down at Daewon with cold eyes. So these are the humans, small, fragile, yet somehow dangerous. How curious. Daewon kept his face neutral. He had dealt with hostile negotiators before. We do not seek to be dangerous. We seek only understanding and cooperation. Understanding, Veltarn repeated. Very well. Let me help you understand. Your weapons have created a crisis. Every military in the galaxy is scrambling to adapt. Trade routes are being fortified. Old alliances are being questioned. All because you brought back technology we abandoned for good reason. We did not know, Daewon said. We are new to the galaxy. We learned of your existence only days ago. That makes it worse, not better, Veltarn said. Primitives with devastating weapons. What will you do next? What other forgotten horrors will you unleash? Thexil stepped forward. High Counselor, perhaps we should see the human weapons in action before we pass judgment. Talk is cheap. I prefer evidence, Veltarn's scales rippled. Very well. Let them demonstrate. Then we will decide their fate. The test range was an open space far from the station. 6 decommissioned warships floated in the void. Ancient vessels from past conflicts now used as targets. Tae-young stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, his crew ready at their stations. These ships survived the last border war. Veltarn's voice came through the comm. They withstood years of bombardment. Show us what your primitive weapons can do. Tae-young nodded to Heejin. Fire when ready, the railguns spoke. Metal slugs crossed the distance in heartbeats. They hit the first ship dead center. The ancient vessel exploded from the inside out, its hull peeling away like paper. The second ship tried to activate its shields. It did not matter. The railgun rounds punched through and cored the ship like an apple. One by one, the targets were destroyed. Total time, 4 minutes. The comm was silent. Then Thexil spoke, and his voice carried a note of respect. Well, that was educational. What followed was chaos. Within hours, every major government in the Assembly had sent representatives to meet the humans. Some offered technology in exchange for weapons designs. Others offered territory, resources, trade agreements. A few offered threats thinly veiled as warnings. Daewon met with them all. He smiled, he nodded. He promised nothing. Back on Earth, governments were being briefed. Fleets were being mobilized. Humanity was preparing to step onto the galactic stage whether ready or not. This is moving too fast, Tae-young said. He and Daewon sat alone in the ambassador's quarters, sharing a bottle of something that passed for alcohol in this part of the galaxy. We do not know who to trust. We do not know the politics. We are children playing in a minefield. I know, Daewon said, but we do not have a choice. The galaxy knows about us now. We either adapt or we become victims. A young pilot named Jiwoo burst into the room. Sirs, you need to come to the observation deck. Something is happening. They ran through the corridors of the station. The observation deck was crowded with aliens and humans, all staring out at the void. Daewon pushed to the front and saw what had everyone's attention. Ships, hundreds of them. Dropping out of hyperspace in perfect formation, dark vessels covered in weapons. Marauder vessels, it is a fleet, someone whispered. The largest marauder fleet in decades. Thexil appeared beside them. His compound eyes reflected the distant ships. They want revenge. They want to kill you before your weapons spread, and they will go through all of us to do it. Veltarn's voice boomed across the deck. This is what happens when primitives meddle in galactic affairs. They have brought disaster to our doorstep. Alarms began to sound. The station's shields activated. Defense platforms came online. The assembly fleet scrambled to form a defensive perimeter. Tae-young grabbed Daewon's shoulder. We need to get back to the Indomitable now. What are you going to do? Daewon asked. Tae-young's face was grim. We started this. We fight. As they ran toward the docking bay, the first shots were already being fired. The Battle of Assembly Station Nexus had begun, and humanity was about to prove that they belonged in the galaxy, whether the galaxy wanted them or not. The Marauder fleet came like a storm. 50 warships moving with deadly precision. They spread out in attack formation, their weapons charging with visible energy. Assembly Station Nexus hung in space like a giant target, and everyone on board knew they were about to die. Captain Tae-young sprinted onto the bridge of the Indomitable. His crew was already at battle stations. Lieutenant Commander Hai-jin had the weapon systems online and ready. Pilot Ji-woo sat in his fighter, waiting for the launch order. Status, Tae-young demanded. 53 enemy vessels confirmed, Hai-jin reported. The assembly has 37 ships in range. Station defenses are active but will not last long against sustained bombardment. And us? We are one ship, Captain, against 53. Then we better make every shot count. The first Marauder salvo hit the station's shields. Massive energy beams that lit up space like lightning. The shields held, but everyone could see the numbers dropping. 80%, 70%. 60% assembly ships moved to intercept. They fired back with their own energy weapons. Bright beams crossed the void. Some hit shields, some missed. The battle became a light show of destruction, beautiful and terrible. But the Marauders were winning. They had numbers and experience. They knew how to fight this kind of battle. The assembly ships were designed for patrol duty, not all-out war. They had not seen real combat in generations. All ships, this is High Counselor Veltarn. The comm crackled. Form defensive formation around the station. We must hold until reinforcements arrive. Reinforcements will not arrive in time, Hai-jin said quietly. Tae-young knew she was right. They had maybe 20 minutes before the station's shields failed. Then it would be a massacre. Take us into the fight, he ordered. Target the closest Marauder ship. Railguns only. The Indomitable broke formation and accelerated toward the enemy. Marauder ships turned to track the human vessel. They probably thought it was suicide. One small cruiser against their entire fleet. Firing, Hai-jin said. The railgun spoke. Metal slugs tore through space. They hit a Marauder destroyer and punched straight through its shields. The ship's hull ruptured. Atmosphere vented. The destroyer spun away, crippled and dying. Target destroyed, Hai-jin reported. Moving to next target. The Marauders reacted with shock. Their perfect formation wavered. Ships that had been pressing the attack suddenly fell back, uncertain. They had expected the human ship to be alone, vulnerable. Easy prey. They had not expected it to have teeth. Commander Thexil is hailing us, the communications officer said. Thexil's face appeared on the screen. Human captain, your weapons. Can they penetrate any shield? So far, Tae-young said. Why? Because I have an idea. Our weapons cannot hurt them, but yours can. What if we work together? Tae-young understood immediately. You soften their shields with energy weapons. We deliver the killing blow with kinetics. Exactly. But it will require perfect coordination. Then let us coordinate. What followed was like a deadly dance. Assembly ships would focus fire on a single Marauder vessel, hammering its shields with energy beams. The moment the shields weakened, Hai-jin would strike with railgun fire. The combination was devastating. 3 Marauder ships destroyed, then 5, then 10. The Marauder fleet was in chaos now. They tried to adapt, spreading out to avoid focused fire. But that just made them easier targets. They tried to rush the human ship, But the assembly fleet protected it. They tried everything they knew. It was not enough. "Captain," Hee-Jin said. Her voice was tight. "New contact. Very large. Coming out of hyperspace." The new ship was massive. A dreadnought that dwarfed everything else in the battle. Its hull was covered in scars from 1,000 fights. Weapons bristled from every surface. This was not a regular marauder vessel. This was their flagship. "This is Warlord Krathix," a voice boomed across all channels. "Human captain, you have impressed me. Your weapons are strong, but I have adapted. Watch and learn." The dreadnought fired on an assembly cruiser. The beam was so powerful it overloaded the shields in seconds. The cruiser exploded in a ball of fire. Then the dreadnought turned its weapons on the Indomitable. "Evasive maneuvers!" Tae-Young shouted. The beam missed by meters. The Indomitable rolled and accelerated, pushing its engines to the limit. Hee-Jin returned fire. Railgun rounds streaked toward the dreadnought. They hit the shields and bounced off. "What?" Hee-Jin stared at her screen. "That is not possible. Our weapons always penetrate shields." "Not always," Dr. Bora's voice came through the comm from her lab. "Captain, those shields are different. They have been modified. Whoever designed them studied our weapons and found a way to deflect kinetic impacts." "How is that possible?" Tae-Young demanded. "We only used the railguns a few days ago." "Someone in the assembly must have leaked the data," Bora said. "Or the Marauders had spies watching the demonstration. Either way, they adapted. Fast." The dreadnought fired again. This time it hit. The Indomitable's shields dropped by half. Alarms screamed. The ship shuddered under the impact. "We cannot take another hit like that," Hee-Jin said. Tae-Young's mind raced. The dreadnought had adapted to their weapons. But adaptation took time. Resources. There had to be a weakness. There was always a weakness. "Bora," he said. "Those modified shields. How do they work?" "They predict trajectory and create a deflection field along the projected path. But the calculations take processing power. A lot of it. What if we give them too many targets to track?" There was a pause. Then Bora laughed. "That might work. If we can confuse their targeting system for even a fraction of a second, the shields will drop." Tae-Young opened a channel to all ships. "This is Captain Tae-Young of the UES Indomitable. I need every fighter we have, every small ship. We are going to attack that dreadnought all at once from different angles. Confuse its defenses. Then I will take the shot." "That is suicide," Veltarn said. His voice was cold. "The dreadnought will destroy every fighter that gets close." "Maybe," Tae-Young said. "But if we do nothing, we all die anyway. At least this way we have a chance." There was silence. Then Thexel spoke. "My fighters will fly with yours, human. It is a good plan, a warrior's plan." One by one, other captains agreed. Fighters launched from every ship. Human and alien craft formed up together. Jiwoo led the human squadron, his voice calm over the comm. "All fighters, this is Jiwoo. Follow my lead. We go in fast and we go in messy. Make them work for every targeting solution." The fighters attacked. They came from every direction, weaving and dodging. The dreadnought's point defense opened up. Bright tracers filled space. Fighters exploded, but more kept coming. "Now, Hee-Jin," Tae-Young shouted. The Indomitable fired every railgun at once. The metal slugs flew straight and true. For a moment they hit the shields and seemed to bounce off. Then the shields flickered, just for a fraction of a second, just long enough. The railgun rounds punched through. They tore into the dreadnought's hull. Deep. Vital systems ruptured. The massive ship began to list, trailing debris and atmosphere. "Target crippled," Hee-Jin reported. "The dreadnought is withdrawing." The rest of the Marauder fleet broke. Without their flagship, without their warlord, they fled into hyperspace. The battle was over. Assembly Station Nexus had survived. But the cost had been high. 7 assembly ships destroyed. 23 fighters lost, hundreds of lives. Tae-Young stood on the bridge, exhausted. Around him, his crew worked to repair damage and tend to the wounded. They had won, but he knew this was just the beginning. "Captain," the comm officer said, High Counselor Veltarn is requesting a private channel. Veltarn's reptilian face appeared on the screen. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he bowed his head slightly. I was wrong about your people, he said. You are not primitives. You are survivors, innovators, warriors. The Assembly is fortunate to have you as allies. I will recommend immediate membership approval. Tae-young felt relief wash over him. But it was short-lived, because he knew what came next. The galaxy had seen human weapons work. Now every civilization would want them, or want to destroy them. Humanity had just joined the galactic community, and nothing would ever be the same. 3 months had passed since the Battle of Assembly Station Nexus. 3 months of change that felt like 3 years. Earth had sent more ships, more diplomats, more weapons. Humanity was now a full member of the Galactic Assembly, with all the rights and responsibilities that came with it. But Dr. Bora could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. She sat in her lab on Assembly Station Nexus, surrounded by data screens. The information from the battle played over and over. The Marauder dreadnought, its modified shields, the technology that should not have existed. The Marauders adapted too quickly, she muttered to herself. Much too quickly. Someone cleared their throat. Bora looked up to find Commander Thexel standing in her doorway. The insectoid warrior looked uncomfortable in the small lab. You have been investigating the dreadnought's shields, Thexel said. It was not a question. Yes, the technology is too advanced. The Marauders are raiders, not scientists. They could not have developed anti-kinetic shielding in just a few days. No, Thexel agreed. They could not. Which means someone helped them. Bora felt cold. Someone in the Assembly? Ambassador Daewon asked me to investigate. Quietly. What I found disturbs me. Thexel moved closer, his voice dropping. The shield technology came from a Viridian research facility. Someone inside the Viridian military has been supplying the Marauders with weapons, with data, with everything they needed to fight you. But why? High Counselor Veltarn fought beside us. He approved our membership. Veltarn is not the entire Viridian collective. There are factions. Groups who believe humans are too dangerous, too unpredictable. They wanted the Marauders to destroy you before your weapons could spread. Bora's hands shook. They had been betrayed, used as pawns in some internal political game. Does Captain Tae-young know? He does now. We are assembling a team to raid the research facility. We need proof before we can accuse anyone publicly. I am coming with you, Bora said. This will be dangerous. I do not care. If someone is using my work to hurt people, I need to know who. I need to stop them. The Viridian research facility orbited a dead moon in an empty system. It was isolated, secret, perfect for illegal experiments. Captain Tae-young led the raid team personally, with Thexel, Bora, and a squad of Marines. They approached in a stealth shuttle, flying dark and silent. The facility's security was good, but not good enough. Human hackers had learned Viridian systems quickly. The doors opened like magic. Inside, the facility was cold and sterile. Metal walls, harsh lights. They moved through corridors carefully, weapons ready. But the facility was almost empty. Most of the staff had been evacuated. They knew we were coming, Tae-young said. Then we find the data before they destroy it, Thexel said. They found the main computer lab. Bora rushed to the terminals, her fingers flying across the alien interfaces. Data flowed across the screens. Shield designs, weapons specifications, communication logs with Marauder contacts. I have it, she said. All the evidence we need. This goes all the way up to General Tekvar of the Viridian military. But then she saw something else. Another file. This one was marked with warnings and security locks. She opened it anyway. Captain, she said. Her voice was shaking. You need to see this. Tae-young moved to her side. The screen showed a threat assessment. Not about humans, about something else. Something called the Devourers. Bora read quickly, her eyes widening with each line. They are machines. Artificial intelligence from outside the galaxy. They attacked 10,000 years ago. The ancient civilizations barely defeated them using kinetic weapons. Then the Devourers vanished. Why have we not heard of this? Tae-young demanded. Thexel's mandibles clicked rapidly, because the Assembly kept it secret. Look at the dates. Recent deep space probes have detected Devourer signals. They are returning. Bora scrolled through more files. Her stomach twisted. The Assembly has known for 5 years. They have been searching for a way to fight the Devourers. Energy weapons do not work against them. Kinetic weapons do. That is why some assembly members were so interested in us. Not for trade or diplomacy, because they need us to fight an ancient enemy. Tae-young felt anger rise in his chest. They were going to use us. Send us to die against machines while they stayed safe. Not everyone, Thexel said, but some. And General Tekvar opposed even that plan. He believed humans would fail against the Devourers and leave the assembly defenseless, so he tried to have you killed first. Copy everything, Tae-young ordered. We bring this to High Counselor Veltarn. Let him explain why his people have been lying to the entire galaxy. The confrontation happened in the High Council chambers. Veltarn sat on his throne-like chair, surrounded by the other counselors. Ambassador Daewon stood beside Tae-young, his face calm but his eyes hard. You lied to us, Daewon said. His voice echoed in the chamber. About the Devourers. About the threat. About why you really wanted humanity in the assembly. Veltarn did not deny it. Yes, we lied. Because we were afraid. The Devourers nearly destroyed us once. If they return in force, we will not survive. Your weapons gave us hope, but hope made us desperate. Desperate enough to hide the truth. And General Tekvar? Tae-young asked. He will be arrested. His faction disbanded. They acted against assembly law and nearly destroyed our alliance with humanity. Veltarn stood. I apologize. Not just for my people, but for all of us. We should have trusted you with the truth. Daewon crossed his arms. So tell us now, everything. What are the Devourers? Where are they? How much time do we have? Another counselor, a being of living crystal, spoke up. The Devourers are self-replicating war machines. They consume resources and build more of themselves. They do not negotiate. They do not retreat. They simply destroy everything organic. As for where they are, Veltarn said heavily, we lost contact with 3 colony worlds last month, all in the same sector. We sent scout ships. They did not return. We believe the Devourers have already begun their invasion. The chamber fell silent. Tae-young felt the weight of it. This was not about politics anymore. Not about trade or alliances. This was about survival. For humanity. For the entire galaxy. How long do we have? He asked. Based on their last invasion pattern, Bora said quietly. Maybe 6 months before they reach the core worlds. Maybe less. Daewon looked at Tae-young. Then at the council. Earth needs to know. Our government will need to decide if we fight. You cannot make that choice for us. Of course, Veltarn said. But know this. If the Devourers are not stopped, they will reach Earth eventually. Your home will burn like all the others. We are asking you to fight not just for us, but for yourselves. For your future. Tae-young knew the counselor was right. Running would only delay the inevitable. They had to fight. Had to win. Or humanity's brief time among the stars would end in fire and death. Send the message to Earth, he told Daewon. Tell them everything. Tell them we need every ship, every weapon, every soldier they can spare. And if they say no, Daewon asked. They will not, Tae-young said. Because that is not who we are. Humans do not run from fights. We run toward them. Even when we should not, especially when we should not. 2 weeks later, alarms sounded across Assembly Station Nexus. Long-range sensors had detected the Devourers. Not a scout force, not a probe, a full invasion fleet. Hundreds of ships, maybe thousands. And they were heading straight for the nearest inhabited system. Tae-young stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, now flagship of the combined human assembly fleet. Earth had sent 20 warships. Not much against an army of machines, but it was a start. All ships report ready, Lieutenant Commander Hai-jin said. Her hands were steady on her console, but her eyes betrayed her fear. Then let us go meet them, Tae-young said. Let us show these machines that the galaxy is not afraid anymore. That we have something they do not expect, something they cannot adapt to fast enough. And what is that, sir? Someone asked. Tae-young smiled grimly. Us working together. Human and alien. Old technology and new. The one thing machines can never truly understand. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, toward the Devourers, toward the greatest battle the galaxy had seen in 10,000 years, toward humanity's chance to prove they belonged among the stars. The Devourer fleet waited in the ruins of the colony world, hundreds of machine warships, each one identical to the next. Perfect, efficient, deadly. They had destroyed 3 planets in as many weeks. Nothing had slowed them down. Nothing had even hurt them. Until today. Captain Tae-young watched the enemy fleet on his displays. The combined human assembly force dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. 20 human ships, 40 assembly vessels, against hundreds. The math was terrible. All ships weapons free, Tae-young ordered. Engage at will. The opening salvo lit up space. Energy beams and railgun fire crossed the void. The Devourers responded instantly. Their movements were precise, calculated. Their weapons fired with machine accuracy, and the combined fleet started dying. Their shields, Lieutenant Commander Hyojin reported. Her voice was steady, but Tae-young could hear the fear underneath. They are adapted. Energy weapons do minimal damage. Kinetic weapons are being deflected. An assembly cruiser exploded to their left, then another. The Devourers were not just winning. They were slaughtering the fleet. They learned from the Marauders, Dr. Bora said from her station. She was analyzing the enemy shields frantically. They studied our tactics, our weapons. They built defenses against everything we have. Then we need something they have not seen, Tae-young said. Ideas, anyone? The bridge was silent except for the alarms. 7 ships lost, 8, 9. Fall back, Commander Thexel's voice came through the comm. Regroup at coordinates I am sending. We cannot win by fighting their way. The fleet retreated, jumping to a safe distance. In the conference room of the Indomitable, the captains and commanders gathered. Human faces mixed with alien ones. All of them looked defeated. We need a new plan, High Counselor Veltarn said. He looked old and tired. Our weapons do not work. Your weapons do not work. What do we have left? Bora stood up. We have confusion, she said. Everyone looked at her. The Devourers are machines, she continued. They adapt based on patterns. They see energy weapons, they adjust shields to block energy. They see kinetic weapons, they adjust to deflect kinetics. But what if we show them both at the same time? What if we make every attack different? Random, unpredictable. He-Jin understood first. Mix the weapons. Combine technologies. Make ammunition that is part kinetic and part energy. Fire patterns that change constantly. Exactly, Bora said. The Devourers are perfect at responding to threats they can predict. So we make ourselves impossible to predict. Thexel clicked his mandibles rapidly. This will require every ship to fight differently. Every weapon system modified. Every pilot trained in chaos rather than order. Yes, Tae-young said. A plan was forming in his mind. A desperate, insane plan. We have 6 hours before they come after us. 6 hours to become the most unpredictable force in the galaxy. What followed was organized chaos. Human engineers worked with alien technicians to modify weapons. Railgun slugs were coated with energy-reactive materials. Plasma weapons were set to fire at random intervals. Missile warheads were mixed with kinetic penetrators. Pilot Jiwoo gathered the fighter squadrons. Forget your training, he told them. Forget formation flying. Forget synchronized attacks. From now on, you fly alone. You attack when you feel like it. You use whatever weapon seems right. Be creative, be random, be chaos. The alien pilots looked confused. Chaos was the opposite of everything they had been taught. Trust me, Jiwoo said with a grin. Chaos is what humans do best. When the Devourers came, the fleet was ready. Sort of. The ships were organized into mixed groups, human vessels paired with alien ones. Each group was given simple orders. Attack however you want. The Indomitable led the charge. He-Jin fired hybrid ammunition that switched between kinetic and energy signatures mid-flight. The Devourers' shields flickered, trying to adapt. Before they could, another ship fired pure plasma. Then another used old-fashioned missiles. The Devourers' perfect coordination started to break down. Their shields could not adapt to attacks that changed constantly. Their targeting system struggled with ships that moved randomly instead of in formation. It is working, Bora said. She was monitoring the battle from her console, watching the Devourers fail to respond effectively for the first time ever. They are too slow. They need patterns to adapt. We are not giving them any. The fighters were the key. Jiwoo led his squadron in a crazy spiral, firing at random intervals. Sometimes kinetic rounds, sometimes energy beams, sometimes both. Other pilots followed his example, each creating their own unique attack pattern. The Devourers tried to shoot them down, but the human-trained chaos was too much. For every fighter destroyed, 2 more slipped through and landed devastating hits. But the battle was still brutal. The Devourers had numbers. Even confused, they were deadly. Ships exploded on both sides, the void filled with debris and bodies. We need to find their command ship, Tae-young said. The Central Intelligence coordinating them. Like the Marauder warlord. Bora scanned frantically. There, in the center of their formation. It is huge, heavily shielded, but all the other ships are taking orders from it. If we destroy it, the rest will become independent. Easier to defeat. Tae-young opened a channel to all ships. This is Captain Tae-young. We have identified the enemy command vessel. All ships converge on my coordinates. We hit it with everything we have. That is suicide, Veltarn said. The defenses around that ship will destroy us. Maybe, Tae-young said. But if we do not try, we lose anyway. At least this way we have a chance. Texil's voice was filled with respect. A good death is better than a slow defeat. My ships follow yours, human. One by one, the other captains agreed. The fleet formed up for the final push. What followed was the most desperate battle any of them had ever fought. The combined fleet drove straight into the heart of the Devourer formation. Ships exploded on all sides. Fighters sacrificed themselves to create openings. The void became a storm of fire and metal. Jiwoo led the final fighter run. His squadron was down to 3 ships. They dove toward the command vessel, dodging defensive fire. 2 more fighters exploded. Jiwoo was alone. He armed every weapon he had left and flew straight at the target. For Earth, he shouted. For the galaxy! His weapons hit the command ship's shields at point-blank range. The shields flickered, weakened. And in that moment, the Indomitable and 3 assembly cruisers fired everything they had. Hybrid weapons, mixed salvos, unpredictable attacks, all hitting the same weak point at once. The command ship's shields collapsed. The hull ruptured. The massive vessel came apart in a cascade of explosions. Command ship destroyed, Hee-jin reported. Then she smiled. And look, the other Devourers are confused. They have no orders. They are just drifting. The remaining fleet ships moved in. Destroying the leaderless Devourers was almost easy. Without their central intelligence, the machines were just targets. When the last Devourer ship was destroyed, the bridge erupted in cheers. They had done it. Against impossible odds, they had won. But the victory was costly. Half the fleet was gone. Thousands of lives lost. Jiwoo had survived by pure luck, his fighter barely functional. The galaxy had been saved, but the price was high. In the days after the battle, everything changed. The Assembly reformed its military doctrine. No more reliance on single weapon types, no more predictable tactics. Diversity became the new standard. Human and alien academies exchanged students. Technology flowed in both directions. Captain Tae-young was promoted to admiral. He would command the new Joint Defense Fleet, preparing for the day when the Devourers returned in greater numbers. Ambassador Dae-won became Earth's permanent representative to the High Council. Humanity had earned its place at the table through blood and sacrifice. Lieutenant Commander Hee-jin led the new weapons development program, creating hybrid technologies that combined the best of human and alien engineering. Dr. Bora directed scientific cooperation across the galaxy, ensuring that knowledge flowed freely between civilizations. And Pilot Jiwoo trained the next generation of fighter pilots, teaching them that sometimes the best tactics are no tactics at all. 6 months later, Admiral Tae-young stood on the bridge of the refit Indomitable. Behind him was a crew from 17 different species. Ahead was unknown space and the search for the main Devourer fleet. High Counselor Veltarn appeared on the screen. Admiral, the fleet is assembled and ready. We await your command. Tae-young looked at his crew. Human and alien working side by side. The railguns that had started everything still sat ready in their mounts. But now they were just one tool among many. One weapon in an arsenal of cooperation and innovation. All ships, he said, jump on my mark. We hunt the Devourers. We end this threat once and for all. For Earth, for the Assembly, for every world that deserves to see tomorrow. The fleet jumped to hyperspace together. Human ships and alien vessels moving as one. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had changed it. Not with weapons alone, but with ideas. With chaos. With the willingness to fight for others. The railgun had opened the door to the stars. But humanity's spirit had earned them a home there. And whatever came next, they would face it together with their new friends. As equals, as allies, as the defenders of a galaxy that would never be the same. The end